day everyone, you're welcome back to the channel. This is Glow Fashion and thank you so much for stopping by. So in today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you the making of this Bubu Kaftan dress with V-neck. It also has side pockets. So please stay tuned and enjoy the tutorial. It's well detailed and beginner friendly. So for this tutorial, I used this Ankara print and also little piece of doll face. First of all, I cut part of the fabric and I folded it into two. So I later fold into four and I ironed it out. You can see I have four equal edges there, and I proceed to mark my starting point, which will build the shoulder. So after marking the starting point, I also measure the circumference of the hip and I added the remaining allowance so as to know whether the fabric I folded would be enough for me or not. So before you cut out your fabric, always measure the circumference of your hip divided by 4. Then you also measure the allowance alongside. So whatever you have, then you can fold, you can proceed to fold. So after doing all of that, I marked from shoulder to nipple point, that's 10 inches, shoulder to under bust, that's 13 inches, shoulder to hip length, that's 24. Then I proceed to mark shoulder to gown length, that is the M line. So I used 41 and I added 2 inches for M, which makes it 43 inches, and I ruled everything out. So after marking all of that, I proceed to mark the circumference of the nipple point, that's 36 divided by 4. And also for the under bust, that's 30 divided by 4, 7.5 inches. And as for the hip, also 40 divided by 4, that's 10 inches. And I proceed to still mark the same circumference of the hip at the M. This is because it's a straight dress, so I have to maintain the shape of the hip at the M as well. So after marking everything, I connected the lines together. This is the shape I have at the end of the day. Next, I marked the allowance. So for the allowance, I added 2 inches, 1 inch for ease. That's because it's not tight, it's a free dress, and the remaining 1 inch is for seam allowance. So, and I proceed to mark the 2 inches. So I marked from the nipple point, also the under bust, and I added the 2 inches at the hip length and the M line. I used my free hand to connect these lines. So if you have your curve ruler, you can as well use it because of the hip side. If you don't know how to blend it well, please use your curve ruler. So after connecting the line together, I also proceed to mark the shoulder circumference. And for the shoulder, the total circumference of the shoulder is 15 inches. I divided it into 2, that's 7.5 inches. So I marked 7.5 inches here. And after marking the 7.5, I placed it on vertical and I marked another 7 inches. So this 7 inches will serve as the armhole. If you are used to my channel, you will know I usually use 7 inches for the armhole. So after marking the 7 inches, I placed the tape at this angle and I marked 1 inch in. And after that, I still marked another 4.5 inch out of the 7 inch. So at that 4.5, I marked ½ inch in. Then I connected it with cuff shape. You can see the way it's being done. I connected it this way. Then also I connected it to the 1 inch I marked inward. So now the armhole is ready. Next, I place the tape back to the nipple point and measure the circumference I have there. So the total circumference there now is 11 inches. You remember we added 2 inches for seam allowance, and I marked 11 inches at the armhole side and I extend it with 1 inch to give me this slope here. And I also did the same for the normal bodice measurement. You remember the bodice is 9 inches, so I marked the 9 inches and also extended to it 1 So here I have 10 inches and I slant it back. You can see. Next, I move to the neckline and I mark 3 inches for the neckline width. So after marking the 3 inches, I also moved to the shoulder side and I marked 1 inch down and I connected the two together. So this will serve as the shoulder slope. And after marking the shoulder slope, now our bodice pattern is ready. I proceed to cut it out. You remember the front and the back are still together. So to cut the neckline, I used one, that is the neckline length for the back bodies. But because they are still together, I'll still be cutting them together. So that's why I used 1 inch and I cut that 1 inch out after connecting it. So I separated the back from the front. This is because I want to reshape the neckline of the front bodies. So after separating it, I placed the front bodies on the table and I marked 7.5 inch for the length. So you can do more than that. It depends on where you want the v-neck to stop. So mine will stop at 7.5. Yours can stop as long as 9 inches, 10 inches. Then after marking the 7.5, I marked 1 inch, 1.5 inch rather. Then I connect it back to the neckline this way using my ruler. So after connecting, I cut it out. So this is the shape of the neckline now. After cutting the neckline, I proceed to cut the pocket side. You know, I said it earlier that I will be fixing pockets. Like you can see in the thumbnail, there's pockets. So for the pocket, I measured 22 inches and I notched it. That's because the pocket did not reach the hip length but is longer than the waistline. So I used 22 inches for that. And after notching the 22 inches, I measured the distance of the pocket. So I used 7 inches for the distance and I marked that out. As you can see, the pocket is slant, is not straight. So after marking the 7 inches, I proceed to mark another 2 inches up, 2 or 2.5 inches. You can do either of the two. Then I slant it back to where I notched earlier. So this is one side of the pocket. So I flipped it this way and I arranged the pattern well on the table back. So this is because I don't want to remeasure the other side. I just want the chalk, because the chalk is thick on one side. I know it will reflect on the other side. So I just proceed to do it this way. Don't mind me. So after beating it up, you can see the chalk reflecting on the other side, and I traced it out this way. Then after tracing it, I had to remeasure it to confirm whether the two sides are equal. So I have 7 inches and I still have 7 inches here. So I marked where the 7 inches ends and also marked where the 7 inches ends here as well. Next is to cut our pockets. So for the pockets, I have 9 inches for the width and 10 inches for the length. So this depends on how long or how wide you want the pockets to be, but it's okay this way for me. So after cutting it out, I placed it on the fabric just to have this hip shape curved out again. So I placed it and reshaped the hip side of the pocket. You know, it's going to be fixed close to the hip, so it must maintain the same shape with the hip. And after doing that, this is what it looks like. Next is to attach the additional fabric, which is the doll face. And for the doll face, I cut 2.5 inches for the doll face width, and for the length, I'm going to use the length of the pocket. So, and next I placed it at the wrong side of the pocket. This way I placed the right side of the doll face on the wrong side of the pocket on the Ankara fabric. I hope you understand what I'm explaining here. Then I proceed to pin the two together. So after pinning, I stitched the two on each other and I flipped it over this way and I ironed again, and I also ironed 1/4 inch at the edge here, and I stitched on it. So also after stitching that side, I hem every other side aside from the part that is going to be fixed at the hip side. So I hemmed every other part. I ironed every other part. I ironed 1/4 inch in. Then next is to pin it down. So I will just open up the fabric now, the front bodies, and I pinned the pockets to the side, to the hip side where it's supposed to be fixed. And after that, I proceed to the machine to stitch the two together. You can see our pocket is ready. Next is the neckline. For this, I measured the length, which is 7.5. I did not measure the remaining 1.5 down. I only measured the length, that's 7.5. And also I measured the circumference, that is the neckline of the back, that's 4 inches. So the calculation now, for the v-neck, I measured 7.5 inches. That's why I wrote 7.5 inches for the front neckline. Then it's on fold, so I multiply it by 2, that's 15 inches. The back neckline is 4 inches multiplied by 2, because that one too is on fold, that's 8 inches. The length should be 23 inches. Then the width is 2 inches. That is how wide I want it to be, is 2 inches. Then I added allowance of 0.5. That makes it 2.5 in total. So first of all, I measured 5 inches, but because the reason why I measured 5 inches is because, one will need to face the other, just like facing. So now I will just fold it into two and iron, so that it will give me good finishing at the neckline. That's why I measured it on fold. So the 5 inches is for the facing and the normal neckline. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. So next, I pin the shoulders together, that is the shoulder of the front and the back together. Then I stitch on it. So this is what it looks like. So after stitching, I pick the neckline, that is the V neckline, and I pinned it round. So after pinning, I stitched the two together. So this is what it looks like after stitching. Next is to fix the V side on each other. So this is how to go about it. You flipped it to the wrong side, then you stitch from inside. Just ensure the stitch does not exceed the 1.5 inch, or where the black fabric is. Ensure it doesn't go beyond that. Then after stitching, this is what it looks like. Next is to iron it out. You can see it from inside, how I stitched on it. Next is to iron it out. So after ironing, I proceed to stitch the bodies, and after stitching, I reshape the armhole. Next, I cut the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I first measured the length. So after the length, I measured 2.5, then I measured 5 inch as well. So this is 5 inches. Then I ruled out everything. Next is to measure the circumference of the 5. The 5 is for bicep, the fullest part of the sleeve. So the circumference there is 6 inches, and I added 1 inch for ease because the sleeve is not tight, and also 1 inch for normal allowance. So whatever I have here, I'll transfer to the length, which is the M. That is because it's just a straight sleeve. There is no pencil, it's just a straight sleeve, so I still use the same measurement. So at the 2 inch here, 2.5 inch here, I measured the same inch and I added 1 inch extra. That will give it this slant shape here. And at this point here, I marked 3.5 inches and I connect it this way. So if you don't understand, I have lots of videos on this, but I think you will still get my explanation. So, and I proceed to cut it out. And after cutting, I fold the allowance I added for M, and this is what it looks like, and I stitch the sleeve together. Next is to stitch it to the main bodice of the dress. I've reshaped the armhole before. And I pin that round, I pin the sleeve round and proceed to the machine to sew. So after sewing, this is the outcome of the dress. Thank you very much for watching this video to the end. Please like and share the video and subscribe as well. See you in my next video. Bye and stay blessed. Love you all.